Hello, hello. Today we're talking about Jira Plans. First, I'm gonna show you what Jira Plans can do. Then, I'm gonna show you how you can implement Jira Plans. First, you need to see what it can do, and then you decide for yourself if you wanna use it, and even if you wanna keep watching the video. Alright, see you on the other side. So here's the scenario. You have some ideas for your product. You want to implement the idea on the next quarter. Let's say start January 2026, you want to implement this new idea, which you already discussed and everybody think it's a great idea. Now you need to implement it. Great. How do you plan it? So let's go to the system and see how you can use Jira Plans to make sure that the feature that you want to implement will be rolled out, or the change that you want to make will happen. Okay, so let's go to Jira. So here's what you want to do. You want to enhance company efficiency and customer experience through upgrade digital portals and streamline internal processes. Well, that's not a new feature, but you want to deliver an improvement. Let's split this work into two. So this is my objective, right? So we call it objective, but you can call whatever you want. It's just a high level piece of work. Now let's go and break this objective, this big piece of work, into two. We're gonna break into the digital customer portal upgrade and internal operations automations. Then we're gonna split this smaller piece of work into the epics. It's where the teams can deliver, right? So here you can see that I split the initiative into a few epics. Backend epic, we have 4 epics for backend. I have one front end epic for this piece of work. Then I have another one here, which I have 1 front end and 3 backends. Now it's time to plan. The teams will add, let's say they go to the epic and they say, okay, I think we're gonna finish this epic. We're gonna start in here, we're gonna end there. So they plan how they are going to deliver what you have assigned to their team. Then you can come here to the plans and expand and view, okay, what is going to be delivered and when. But then there are some red stuff. There's red stuff here, red stuff there. Like, what's going on? Okay, so let's go and see the dependencies. Okay, so the front end team said that they're going to start this epic on the 13th of Feb. But the problem is this epic here has a dependency with the front end 2 epic. And it says that I have minus 6 days here. This is like a, if you see, saying that the date overlaps 6 days. What does that mean? It means that this epic here, the epic that is blocking the front end epic, the front one, it's going to end 6 days after you started the epic front one. So we are ending on the 18th of February, where you want to start the epic on the 13th. So this might not be a big issue, right? You might be okay, because you probably have some work that you need to do, whatever. But it might be an issue, right? So you want to address that. But before addressing this, front end 2 needs to address their dependencies with backend. So the same scenario here. The front end team is saying, I'm going to start doing my work on the 22nd of January. But the backend team is saying, I'm going to end my work on the 28th. So this is a great way for teams to kind of manage dependencies, right? So they can plan their work on their epic, they can plan their work on their project and say, here's what we are planning to do, and link all the dependencies, and then the Jira Plans give you this high level view and say, okay, everybody has planned, let's see how the master plan will work. Maybe it won't work well because there are some dependencies that you can foresee that's gonna be a problem. Then you might say, well, that's you have only 2 projects there. We have so many projects, and this is gonna be a nightmare to view this. Well, you can always use filters. You can go here to space and say, I just care about front end. So it's going to bring only your front end epics and its dependencies. So that's the first benefit of using Jira Plans. It removes silos, and now you can see how each team work will impact the overall implementation of what you have planned. So this is the basic view, this is dependencies, and now there are other views as well. If you go to the timeline here, you can view the dependency view, which will allow you to see what are the dependencies, right? Which item is blocking you and what are you blocking. So the back end, the back four, it blocks 2 other epics. It blocks back 5 and front 2. So why is this important? Why this dependency views on plan to me is very important? Because if you go to your backend project, you can see your internal dependencies, right? If you say, like, say, this one here, I want to expand this a little bit more. So you will see a dependency red. Great, I can just fix this dependency here by moving the other one and then the other one. But you don't know what are you blocking, what's the impact on the other projects. So that's why, to me, this view here, the dependency view from the plans, are very important. So we have basic view, dependency view, then we have the capacity view. This one here, maybe put in the comments if you think it's useful. I don't see this very useful, to be honest, because the timeline within the project, it's so it has improved a lot, and the capacity, I guess, it's kind of managed within the teams. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna touch on this one because I don't think it's that valuable. So the timeline view, to me, it gives you that visual where you can spot things that might go wrong. So besides the timeline, you can see the lists, and here's where you can add a bunch of fields if you want. If you like this way better, if you want to look by assignee, by priority, by component, this will give you that list view, which sometimes I feel a bit overwhelming, but if you see the value, well, you can use this as well. Going back to the timeline, imagine that, let's say you are here in mid of January, right? And this epic here was supposed to be done by end of January. Then you add something called progress by issue count. Then you can see how many tickets are completed from these epics, right? So you can say, okay, there's nothing completed on this epic, so we might have a problem. I don't know who would be responsible for your epic in your organization, but then you can go and talk to them and say, okay, what's going on? So here, how you can add fields. So this is, let's show this is real quick. You can go here and say progress by issue count. Now you have. If I go here and see that this guy here, which is blocking other epics, have nothing done, so then it's gonna be my code. So I don't have to expand and then see what's going on. I can see via these bars. So that's why I think it's very interesting. Then we have the calendar view, which I don't know if you like or not, but you can see things on the calendar. I prefer the timeline view. Now, how to implement this? Well, let's implement just what I've done. Let's just implement from the start. before we deep dive into the configuration, there are three things that I want to highlight. First, you need to have Jira Premium. Second, you need to have your hierarchy set up above the epic. I have a video which I will link on the description how you can do that. And third, you have to add the initiatives and objectives into a project. And in my case, I've added into a bucket, into a project that becomes a bucket of objectives and initiatives. Since they are higher than Epic, I decided to not put into one project because there will be multiple, as you saw, there will be multiple epics linking to the same initiative. So it's, in my opinion, it's better that you have this bucket that every project or every space can link their work into these initiatives and objectives that exist on this bucket. So let's say you are in the backend, you go to plans, you hit create, and you're gonna say plan 2. I'll leave it open, and I'm gonna select a source. In my case, you can have a board, you can have by filter, but in my case, I'm gonna select spaces. I'm going to select the backend. I'm gonna add another source, a space. I'm gonna select the front end. Now I need to select the bucket that I mentioned to you guys, which is the Pragmateki initiatives. Now you can create. So here's your plans. It's already there. So if I expand the backend here, I can see the objective, I can see the initiative, and I can see the epics. But if I expand the front end, I can see the same thing, right? So that's something that I don't want. I just want to see from the bucket, I want to expand things down. So how do we remove these two projects here? Well, you go to filters and you just say project equal to this one. And you might think that this is only going to bring me the objective initiatives, but no, it will show you the entire hierarchy. If you're on the timeline, right? So it's this, all this is already configured to you. So if you want to add a new field like the progress in issue type counts, you can come here and say progress. The dependencies are already there. There's not much in terms of implementation. That's great. So the one thing that I changed, on the view settings, I changed this by project, so we can see some colors, right? I can see the colors, which gives me a better visual representation of which epic is from which project. Yeah, so that's your plans. Your plans give you that higher visibility of what's going on. What happens if I change the date on this epic? What are the blockers, right? Do I need to get more people? Am I going to be delayed? So Jira Plans will help you to give you this visibility so you can act before the problem becomes a problem and you can deliver your things on time. All right? Have fun, take care, enjoy life.